well. Big Daddy's back. Talk is cheap. Hey, everybody. It's Mad Dog Scipio, and we are back. The maiden voyage of Talk is Cheap, and we got to go on. Oh,
Absolutely.
we got to go on. So, but before we get to our guest tonight, Amelia, Valerio Pitbull Chapman. How you doing, Amelia?
I'm doing great. How are you doing tonight?
I'm wonderful. Look at me.
Absolutely.
My buddy Marc Sotkin is here tonight. We're going to have some fun with Mark.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we're gonna have some fun tonight. He is I called him the Hollywood Renaissance man on a previous episode. And he really is. He really is. Marc Sotkin is a producer, writer, director, sometimes actor. You can see him once in a while in front of the camera, or on a community theater stage near you. But let me get to introducing this man. He is a veritable encyclopedia of show business. He's done it. He's been there and back again and lived to tell the tale. In fact, lived long enough to write 3 books about the tale. Marc Sotkin, welcome back to the show, my friend.
Good to see you guys. What's going on?
Well, I'll tell you what, man. You are a guy that's that always surprises me, even if we haven't spoken in a while. I found out a few things about my friend Marc Sotkin that I did not know on our previous episodes. Working Stiffs, 1979.
Yeah.
I did not know that you had involvement with Working Stiffs. Were you a producer on that show, Mark, or did you write for it?
So I wrote and produced. So their Paramount had a script that they weren't happy with. And that's actually when I left Laverne and Shirley and left Laverne and Shirley to do the rewrite of that, produce it. And then was involved with casting Michael Keaton and Jim Belushi, who were the stars of it. Actually, Pee Wee Herman was in the series and was like one of the first shows that Pee Wee Herman got to do.
I remember this show.
Oh wow, yeah.
I remember this show. Paul Rubin, yeah. Okay,
yeah. And then, Paul was this is really one of the first TV things he did. So yeah, I did that until they fired me.
Why'd they fire you? I got to hear this one. You're a nice guy. Why did they
some creative differences? Is
that's a big thing, Mark. That's a big thing.
Right?
One, especially if I guess I'm assuming, and I hate to assume, but I'm assuming maybe you're still a little green in the business at this point.
It was a bunch of things. I was promised some things that didn't come to fruition.
Yeah.
It was also it happened to be a time that I had a few personal things going on in my life.
Oh, gotcha.
I might not have been doing my best work.
Oh, okay.
They may have been right to get rid of me. I don't know.
Yeah, right.
But anyway, yeah. So that was Working Stiffs.
I tried to get these in as close to order as I could.
Okay.
Laverne and Shirley, you've been quite candid, in fact, about the the love-hate affair that Cindy Williams had with the writing staff. Interestingly, you might want to know this, and maybe you'll come back East Coast to see her perform. Cindy is actually doing it's called My Life.
She's doing a one-woman show. She's traveling all over the country.
Yeah, she's actually here at the Bucks County Playhouse.
People go see her. She's funny. She's great.
Can I tell her that I'm a friend of yours? Will she tell me that? Give me my money.
That's a toss up. That is a toss up.
Oh, okay. So, for the benefit of Amelia, because I'm going to throw it to Amelia right now.
Okay.
Kind of give her a bird's eye view, Mark, of life in Laverne and Shirley land.
So, the reason I got to Laverne and Shirley was so Laverne and Shirley was a mid-season show. Penny and Cindy had guested as Laverne and Shirley on Happy Days, and the network loved the characters. Went on the air. They did a half season, and it was an immediate hit. So on a week-to-week basis, either Laverne and Shirley was the number one show in the country, or Happy Days was the number one show in the country.
Right.
And towards the end of their first full season, because obviously it was picked up,
Yeah.
Cindy was not happy with the writing and how the writing was going for her character, and they fired almost the entire writing staff. They kept Paula Roth, who was a great writer, and was kind of the historian, and also had grown up with Penny Marshall and Garry Marshall, and knew the Marshalls well. And I had just finished. I had just been discovered, and had done my first series called Sorota's Court. That was kind of like Night Court. It was almost exactly like Night Court on NBC, but we didn't make it. We were canceled. And right after we were canceled, shortly before Cindy got rid of the writers, and the guy who discovered me, a guy named Harvey Miller, who created Sorota's Court, had worked a lot with Garry Marshall. Harvey had been one of the producers on The Odd Couple. And so Harvey told Garry Marshall, and I was discovered by Harvey in an improv show, doing improv, a show called Off the Wall. Sure. And Harvey took me and Chris Thompson, who went on to have a big career creating shows like Bosom Buddies. And Judy Askins, who was Judy Irvin back then, who went on to direct Perfect Strangers and The Hogan Family. We all had really good careers. Yes. Anyway, he picked the three of us to do Sorota's Court. And when we got canceled, he told Garry Marshall, "You got to hire these three people." So we went to Laverne and Shirley. And at that time, Laverne and Shirley was one of the first shows that the Inquirer covered, because it was pretty well known that Penny and Cindy weren't getting along that well necessarily. Like a lot of great comedy duos. Abbott and Costello weren't great friends.
No, Martin and Lewis.
Right. It happens a lot. But that was the situation. So anyway, we were brought in, and the reason I got to eventually produce the show was, and what I've come to realize was, what's really a shame is that all of us, the cast and the writers and everybody who was working on the show, that we just didn't realize that our method of working was just, it was rough. Okay. And that we couldn't enjoy the fact that we had a hit show. So we would write stuff and we would send it to the stage, and then they'd say, no, we don't want to do this, or we want to change this. And instead of saying, and they were funny people, so it's not like you want to ignore what they were doing. But at some point, whoever was the showrunner at that time during the show, they would go, damn it, they're going to do what we want to do this week. We're not doing what they want to do. And then they get fired, because when you have the number one show, you don't get rid of the actresses, you get rid of the writers. So when
Mark, I have a question right there, Mark. I have a question that segues right in there. One of my favorite movies is called My Favorite Year.
Yes.
Okay, you know the film. It's about, for the benefit of
written by Dennis Colombo.
Yeah, a great film and very well written.
Yes.
And for the benefit of people watching who don't know the film, it's about an aspiring rookie television writer, working for a major network in New York back in the 1950s, based loosely on the Sid Caesar show.
Yes.
Okay. There's a line in that movie I want to talk to you about. He says, Bill Macy's character says, it's not that when he's talking to Benny, he goes, it's not that it's not funny, it's just it's not funny.
Right.
Talk to me about funny versus funny.
Okay. So, you can write a joke about anything. Okay. Here's the thing. You write a joke about it.
Yeah.
I'm going to talk about Golden Girls because it's a better example.
Yeah.
Okay. And I was the showrunner on Golden Girls. I was the head writer, executive producer, Golden Girls. And whatever the line is, I don't care if the line is, hey, come on in. How do we say that funny?
Yeah.
How can we say that funny? And so also with television writers a lot, we grew up watching television. And depending on what show you watched might affect how funny you are. Like
Right.
when I would interview writers, if they say, "Oh, my favorite show was The Brady Bunch," and The Brady Bunch was a hit show, and I'm sure it was great, but it wasn't the funniest show on television.
No, it was a horrible show.
Right.
I was a kid and hated it.
Yeah. So if somebody says, "Oh, my favorite show is the Brady Bunch," it's, yeah, great, good to meet you.
Yeah.
No, thank you. So yeah,
Right.
there's funny, and
Mhm.
there's funny, and then there's also funny what you write and who's delivering the funny.
There
Yes.
you go. There you go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Many times on the Golden Girls, I'd say to the ladies, you know what? Don't even learn this joke. We're going to write another joke. And they would say to me, no, give us another day with it.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they'd
Yeah.
save our ass. You know, they make us look great.
Mhm. Yes.
Well, you have people though like Betty White and B. Arthur and
Yeah.
Estelle Getty, who was just fucking
Funny.
hilarious.
Funny.
All home run,
McClanahan.
and Penny Marshall
Yes.
and Cindy Williams
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
Michael McKeon and David Lander. They were all
Yeah.
incredibly funny. Our work method was just so contentious that no one was having a good time.
The one thing about all of them though is that and I think you'll appreciate it. Everybody you just mentioned had an incredibly vast improv background. Improv was a huge part of all of their careers.
I don't know that it was with the Golden Girls. They were actors. They were actresses.
Well,
I don't.
yeah, true.
And they had. I mean, the thing about so it was produced at Whit Thomas Harris Productions, and
Yeah.
and just as a company philosophy, I've never worked any place that so respected the written word.
Yeah.
So, and I may have told this story before on the show, Angela. I don't know. So the difference is, when I was working on Laverne and Shirley, I'd get a call from the stage, and they would say, "The ladies want to see you on stage."
Yeah.
The first thing I would do is I'd call my wife and say, "I'm not coming home tonight."
I won't be home tonight.
Oh, you thought it was gonna be that long of a
No, so we'd go down and we'd see something that had absolutely nothing to do with the script necessarily that we wrote, okay, or that they were rehearsing. But they had a new idea of something that they wanted to do, and they're funny. So, and they're the stars of the show. So what we have to do now is go back and spend overnight necessarily, possibly, doing a rewrite to make that, whatever we just saw, work in the show that we're doing.
Yeah.
Now it's a number of years later, and I'm on the Golden Girls, and I've just become the showrunner of the Golden Girls, and I'm in there for a couple of weeks, and I get a call and it says the ladies would like to see you on stage, and I'm like Pavlov's dog. It's like, oh shit, you know.
Right. Yeah.
I thought I was done with this, and I went down to the stage, and Betty White literally wanted to change the word "this" to "that." She didn't want to say this one; she wanted to say that one. I said, "Just this once, Betty, but don't let this happen again."
And you know, I bet it was a weekly thing, wasn't it?
And she laughed, and you know, and we were fine. But they just respected the word on the page so much.
Yeah.
So that was the difference. But again, it was just the methodology. The show was different.
Yeah. Mark, who was the most legitimately, I guess to say that word, the most legitimately funny woman in that
on the
crew?
show, on the Golden Girls?
They were all hilarious.
They were all home run hitters. It's hard to say.
Yeah.
It's hard to say because stylistically they were all different. So
well, you've got I
mean, B. Arthur was brilliant. I mean, there's no question about Betty. What you know that they all had such great chops.
Well, you know, B. Arthur was like, she was an amazing actress. You know, she could do comedy, but she was really an amazing actress. But she could deliver like deadpan, like nobody's business.
And also, you know, one of the keys to the Golden Girls when you watch it, especially in the first few years, which established the look of the show, Terry Hughes, who was the director, he would make a 30-second joke into a 45-second joke just by going around the kitchen table and
solving with solving a thing with cheesecake. There you go, the cheesecake.
Yeah, exactly, those scenes. So like reaction.
Yes.
And the audience, because the audience, since it was a tape show, they could see monitors, so they were seeing the reactions and would keep laughs going. So they were all four of them just brilliant.
Amelia, questions for Mark.
Yeah, and I think the funniest thing was like when you were saying back then with the one little word could make the funniest joke with like whenever you gave the author like the word ma, the way you would say a certain way every time, the way she just said ma, the crowd, the reaction, just the way she said it
Yeah,
every single time,
right.
the way she
So
would just say it every time was funny. Just the look on her face.
and Laverne and Shirley and Golden Girls are the hits. I
Hmm.
worked on a lot of crap too, and you could write the same ma for somebody who
It's not the
who's in
same.
B. Arthur.
Yeah.
It wasn't the
And that's a
same.
good point, Amelia. That's a really
Yes,
good point. How one word can
can make
literally
it.
make the difference between a
Hmm.
laugh or not.
Exactly.
You know
That's
what
also in terms of
happens,
That's also in terms of writing. Your
Yes.
choice of words,
and so Mark, what happens then if you have the funny on paper,
right?
but you're not getting the funny out of the mouth?
Right.
Like, how do you address that with an actress that's clearly accomplished, that's got credibility? Do you walk eggshells,
No,
or
no,
do
no, no,
you
no, 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 no eggshells. Well, early on there might be eggshells. So, um, and I've explained this.
like? Do
I
you
don't know whether
fear
we
getting
talked about this.
fired, or
So film is a director's medium, and the director is
yeah,
the boss. Sitcom is a writer producer's medium. So, and I'm the showrunner.
yeah,
I get to be the showrunner. So now first thing Monday morning, they're going to read the script the first time they haven't seen it. And we sort of figure out what's working and what's not working, and we tell them what they can start rehearsing and what they shouldn't even bother with. We're going to go do rewrites.
yeah,
But by Tuesday afternoon is the first time we see it on its feet. Now the actors are still on script, but we get to see it in the sets. So we start to see again what's working and what's not working, and we'll do a rewrite Tuesday night. On Wednesday, and whatever we rewrote on Tuesday night, we do another table reading Wednesday. But
yeah,
Wednesday afternoon, there's another run through where they perform
yeah.
it now. And now they're getting off script.
Right,
Now I can start giving acting notes. I might say, hey, this might be funnier if you say it on while you're walking across the room, or
right,
funnier if you don't say it while you're walking across the room. And another time that I'm definitely giving notes is, so on Golden Girls, we shoot a show at 4:00 in the afternoon. That's a dress rehearsal. And we may or may not use a lot of that.
right.
Some of the stuff we wrote that we thought was funny all week, and it's in front of an audience. So we're going to find some of the stuff that we wrote ain't as funny as we thought it was.
Yeah.
And we also may find that some of the stuff that we didn't know was that funny is funnier. In between that
Interesting,
4:00 show and the 7:00 show, we all get together for dinner, and the cast is there, and the writing staff is there, and I'm there, and I go through and I give notes. Okay, so I make notes while we're shooting the 4:00 show, so a note might be, B, you're being a little. You don't have to be. The word was always strident.
Yeah.
B, you're being a little strident on this one. So that's you have, and the very first time. So Golden Girls was on, for 8 years. It was 7 years, and then a year of Golden Palace.
We have Mark. I want to bring this to your attention.
Yes.
There's a very prominent individual in the wrestling community named Scott Larson.
Yes.
Scott's kind of a big deal.
Okay.
In the wrestling world.
Okay.
He said you worked on some great wholesome shows, sir. Thank you for being a big part of my childhood.
Thank you, Scott. Appreciate it. And as
he
for
does.
wholesome, here's the deal. The Golden Girls was really 4 old ladies doing dick jokes, and my job was to make it. Okay, and my job was to make it so you can say those dick jokes on NBC. Okay, so
Scott, if you're still out there, you have a question for Mark, fire away, my friend.
I think
Scott's a kind of a big deal in the wrestling world.
Cool.
And he's the voice of the NWO.
Oh,
for people who don't know that.
Okay.
Scott Larson is the voice of the NWO. Go ahead. You know what? I want to let you take this, Amelia, because you know about this show and I didn't. Golden Palace.
the Golden Palace. Yeah, right. I think it was a great show too. It's I think after of course Dorothy left, of course, to marry Blanche's uncle. Right. How the spinoff was, and they decided to buy the hotel to kind of still stay together and then teach Martin. I love how you brought him along and made him the cook.
Right.
And and he's like, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to cook for all these people. And they just try to make him like he was the big wig and the nice guy. Oh, you can do this,
And it
make
was
him feel
Don Cheadle, who
Yeah.
has
Oh
gone
my
on to
God,
be
I
a big
love
star.
Don.
Yeah.
Another great actor.
Right.
God,
Yes.
And that was one of Don's first big
Yes.
breaks. So I just finished. So I'm getting ready to
Mhm.
the end of April. There's a Golden Girls convention in
Mhm.
Chicago. Okay, they already have over 2,000 people coming,
Oh wow.
Mhm.
and I'm going, and they're going to want to talk about Golden Palace. So I
Mhm.
just watched all 24 of them. Okay, because
Mhm.
I had it's a long time ago. I hadn't seen them.
Yeah.
It's just not as good as Golden Girls. The
Mm-mm.
chemistry was different.
Yes.
Um,
Without Dorothy there, the
that
character
Dorothy was
Dorothy.
there.
Mhm.
There's a whole bunch of people, including me, and we didn't do our best work.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah.
so there's there's laughs. It's funny. There's
Mhm.
good episodes and so episodes.
Yeah.
Um, there's one episode I wrote that I'm really proud of that actually kind of blew up on social media last year.
Mhm.
It was the episode where Blanche hung
The Confederate
the
flag.
Confederate flag in the
Yes, I
hotel,
saw that
right,
episode.
with Don
Yeah.
Cheadle.
Yes.
So, having a black character opened up things
Mhm.
for us to do stories that
Yes.
we wouldn't normally do. But we,
I'll tell you what I still think is one of the funniest episodes, and
Mhm.
we actually featured it on one of the shows you and I did, Mark.
Mhm.
You know, B. Arthur's character, her brother dies.
Right.
Okay,
Yeah.
Mhm.
and he was gay, right? He was a gay guy.
Actually, he wasn't
Mhm.
gay.
Mhm.
Phil was a cross dresser.
A cross
Cross
dresser.
dresser.
Okay,
So
yeah,
Yes.
He was married,
yeah,
Mhm.
but he was a cross dresser.
right.
Mhm.
And so that character was, like, how do you handle a dead cross dresser
Sure.
happens to be the main character's brother, right?
Right.
Mhm.
So
Not
when you,
only her brother, Sophia's son. So
Yes.
what
yeah,
and I'm very proud. It's probably one of the best episodes of anything that I've written. I mean,
it's
to me, what was interesting
hilarious.
to me,
Mhm.
what was really interesting was it's losing a son, which is a horrible thing for
Yeah,
an adult to lose a child at any age, but also dealing with Sophia's embarrassment about the fact that this guy was a cross dresser.
And they put him in a dress in the casket.
and the
Yeah,
fact that
Mhm.
actually a teddy. He was buried in a
Teddy,
teddy.
Teddy. That's right. It was
yeah,
for the Teddy. That
Yeah,
was.
but
Mhm.
we did a gay marriage show in
Mhm.
1990.
Yes.
yeah,
That it's been that we did so many
Mhm.
stories about important issues
Mhm.
that we're still Confederate flags and gay marriage and
Mhm.
incredible stuff.
stuff we're still
Yes.
dealing. It's crazy that we're still dealing
Mhm.
with, but we
Yeah.
are.
Yes.
Well, it's interesting to me. You mentioned going to a Golden Girls convention in Chicago. All the characters are gone. They're
Yes,
all gone.
right.
But
Mhm.
More people are watching the Golden Girls now
is
than have ever watched.
Oh, I still watch it.
Thank
Yes.
you,
that's
Hulu. Thank
crazy to
God for
me.
Hulu.
Mhm. Oh
That
yeah.
It's
that's
crazy. It's amazing.
crazy to me
Yes.
that
Yes.
you're going to a convention where none of the characters will be there,
The
but
sad thing
the
is,
writer will be
I'm
there,
probably this name that's going to be there. It's sad.
right?
Mhm.
The writer, producer, director will be there.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
So,
they still have a channel here called TV Land that I watch the episodes
Oh
on.
my God! Yeah,
Yes.
sure.
and it's still on
Yes.
Hallmark, but Hulu
Yes.
is really,
Hallmark. That's it.
yeah,
Hallmark too. Yes.
but
Mark,
Hulu has
what's
really changed it
what?
because you can watch any episode you want whenever you
Mhm.
want, and
Yeah,
they
Yes.
just put
yeah.
so
Uh huh.
Golden Palace hasn't been on anywhere
Not yet.
since no, it's
No.
on now. So it's
Mhm.
just on
Yeah.
Hulu. They just put it
Mhm.
on
What
Hulu.
was Golden Palace, Mark? Was that an attempt to capture lightning in a bottle again?
Yes. So what happened
Mhm.
was we knew B was leaving the show. Uh, we had looked for a couple people to replace B. Debbie
Mhm.
Reynolds did an
I
episode,
guess episode appearance. Yes.
and we tried a few other people. The chemistry wasn't the same.
Mhm.
So NBC wasn't sure exactly what Susan Harris, who created Golden Girls, was going to be coming up with. And so they said, well, we'll give you an order for 13 episodes. And a normal show gets 22 episodes.
Yeah.
On Golden Girls, we were doing 25 because they knew how much each episode was worth.
Oh, yeah.
So
that was a money train, brother.
Yeah.
Yes.
Paul Witt and Tony Thomas, who were the executive producers, went to NBC and said, we can't tell the ladies, this is a big hit show, that you're only giving them an order for 13. We can't do that. And NBC didn't want to budge, so they went to CBS, and CBS gave the order for the whole season of Golden Palace. So, and this all happened very fast. Susan wrote this pilot, and I don't know. I don't know. I know it wasn't Susan's greatest work. Golden Girls was her greatest work. Soap was her greatest work. Benson was her greatest. I mean, she wrote enough hit shows. So to me, and this is all in 30-year retrospect.
Yeah, sure.
Yes.
I wish we had gone into more detail. How did the ladies get this hotel? Now, let me ask you, both of you: Have you ever cleaned Have you ever cleaned a bathroom?
All right.
Have you ever cleaned 30 bathrooms in a day? Have you ever cleaned 30 bathrooms in a day dressed the way the Golden Girls are dressed? So So there could have been ways for them to still have the hotel. Did they win it in a poker game? How did that happen? How did these three ladies buy a beachfront hotel in Miami? So there were things that weren't answered.
Yeah.
In terms of the writing and our problems in the pilot, and it goes by so fast. I swear I was unaware of this till I just watched the series. Don Cheadle's character, and if you remember in the early episodes, there was a kid who was at the hotel. Oliver.
Yes.
Okay. And he just goes by really fast and says, "Oh, I'm fostering Oliver." And it goes by, nobody just says anything. Well, in terms of a Golden Girl writing, here's a young black man fostering a young white man. How did that happen? What is that about? Was Don Cheadle familiar with the foster care system? I mean, that's an issue that people are just starting to deal with now.
Sure.
We could have made it so much deeper and much more meaningful than having to worry that Rose has to take towels up to room 203.
Yeah.
Nobody ever believed it. I don't think anybody believed it.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Sinbad. I didn't know you worked with Sinbad. I find it
Please,
interesting.
can I get a check here? I don't want to.
My understanding from talking to people who knew and know Sinbad is that he can be a little, I don't want to say confrontational, but he can be a little difficult.
Let's say confrontational. You can say confrontational. You can say pain in the ass. You can say whatever you want. So here's the thing. I heard he can be a bit confrontational. So here's the deal with the Sinbad show. Okay. Again, a lot of this is I've had to think it over. So number one, the showrunner is I'm kind of like the head football coach. Okay.
Yeah.
I worry about sets. I worry about everything.
People, Mark, can we tell people? Because you and I both know what a showrunner is.
Right.
Tell everybody who doesn't know what a showrunner is.
Okay, so a showrunner, which I became on Laverne and Shirley and Golden Girls, I didn't create those shows. So when a Susan Harris is ready to go create another show and make another gazillion dollars, they give the key to this very expensive car to a guy like me, and they say, "Don't fuck it up." Okay.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of like a head football coach. So I don't design the sets, but the set designer shows me what they want to do. I don't design the costume. Same with that. I don't edit the shows physically, but I see cuts of all the shows, and they're not done till I say, "Cool, that's great."
Right.
I go to casting. I go to it's all of it. But my main job and the reason they hire me is I'm the head writer. I decide what stories we're going to tell, who's going to write those stories. I get to decide if my joke is funnier than your joke, and I'm smart enough to know when your joke is funnier than my joke. That's what a showrunner does.
Yeah.
Okay. On Sinbad, I was the fourth showrunner of that first season. Yeah. That's a red flag.
Big time. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, shows change showrunners. Usually, if you're a hit show, I was the second showrunner on Golden Girls. The first people had the first 4 years, and then I was brought in. Laverne and Shirley, there were a lot of showrunners because I was saying before,
Yeah.
the showrunner would get to say, this week they're going to do what we want them to do. They're not doing what they want to do, and they get fired. Okay.
Mark, is it hard to write for a guy that's accustomed to writing his own stuff?
It makes it harder, and they usually want to have somebody who has written with them in the room, even though they've never written a sitcom or they've done a sitcom. So here was the problem. Let me get to what.
Yeah.
It wasn't all it was not all Sinbad's fault, because here was the deal. Sinbad had one vision for the show. The studio Disney had another vision for the show, and the studio and the network Fox had a third vision for the show. So Disney wanted to feature the kids because he was raising 2 kids.
Mm-hmm.
The network Fox wanted it to be about a young single guy who was out and about, and Sinbad kind of wanted to be Mr. Cosby. Okay.
Oh, yes.
So on any given week, 2 of those 3 entities were not happy.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, unless everybody's in sync, you got problems.
Yeah.
And so by the time, Sinbad and I were screaming at each other face to face, the ship had sailed. Okay. Because and in some ways, if they had just picked his way, it would have been fine. It would have made it or not made it. That I can't tell you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But he would have been happier. And everything would have been happier.
Yeah.
When I got there were some talented writers, but there were some less talented writers. And, to wind up with a hit show, the planets have to align.
Yeah.
You got to have a cast.
So that's 1994. So by the next year, you're now with a new show called First Time Out. Now,
can I get a check, please? I'd like to.
Right.
So, and this is another one that I'm vaguely familiar with because it wasn't around, but maybe for 5 minutes, and took powder.
You're being generous.
What went right? What went wrong? And why did First Time Out hit the skids?
Okay, so here's we got to back up a little and explain how much of this is my fault. Okay. I did the first year of Golden Girls.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. First year of a 3-year contract. If you'll notice when you read the credits, actually, the first year I'm co-executive producer, and then I become executive producer, and that's all just titles. That's all just negotiated stuff.
Right.
Because that first year they didn't know what they had a hit show. They gave me the keys to the car. They didn't know whether I was going to be able to do it or not.
Yeah.
End of that first year, I go to Paul Witt and Tony Thomas and tell them I'm leaving. I'm moving with my family to Colorado. I bought a house. I didn't think staying in LA was good for my family. I had 2 little kids. I knew what raising kids in LA was like. When you're in show business, you're not raising your kids. The housekeepers are raising your kids.
Yeah.
If I stayed, either they would be in rehab or I'd be on rehab. I'd be on wife number 3 and only be able to afford wife number 2. I still loved wife number 1, and I said, we're leaving. Okay.
Exactly.
When I told them that, they said, you're the smartest guy in show business. Good luck. God bless. By the time I got back to my office, my secretary said, Paul and Tony want to see you again immediately.
Oh my God.
So I went back. I went back, and what we agreed on was I would stay for the next full year.
Yeah.
Which was fine because we do the remodel of the house in Colorado.
And
and after that, I was going to be there for 6 weeks at the beginning of the season to get as many scripts together with the writing staff as possible.
Mm-hmm.
And then I would fly in Monday morning for the table read. And after that first run through Tuesday night, I would give my notes.
Yeah.
And then I'd go fly back to Colorado because there were other people who were ready to take on more responsibility. And it worked out okay on Golden Girls. And quite frankly, it's one of the reasons I don't think Golden Palace was as good as it could have been, because some of the people there weren't quite ready to do the job. They were still learning. They all became very, very successful showrunners. Anyway, so that was my situation when I was hired for Sinbad. The deal was, okay, I'm going to be here full time for the first few weeks just so they get used to me. But then I got this 2 day a week thing. And by the time I got the first time out, that was the same thing. I'm going to be here for a little while, and then I'm going to go to 2 days a week. Well, you're not going to get the best shows if you're a showrunner that's only going to be there 2 days a week.
Right.
There's no reason a good show needs to do that. Okay.
Yeah.
First time out, it was a nightmare.
It sounds like it.
It was a nightmare, and they, the guy was the head of the WB at that point. He didn't want it to be Friends. He said, I kept saying, I don't want this to be Friends. Why? Because Friends is too big a hit. I mean, whatever. Why wouldn't you want? And Jackie Guerra, the woman who was the star of the show, didn't have very much experience.
Right.
And she wasn't a great actress, but she was new and would have helped her if other people could have had more, a bigger part. And I made the mistake of calling her something horribly, that was horrible on a telephone call that I thought was off the record.
Oh,
and it was not off the record, as it turns out. And it got back to the studio and Jackie what I had said. I was fired from that job. Okay.
Wow. So what happened with You Wish? 1997, You Wish.
What is this? Here it is, the new album, Mark's Greatest Flops. No, you Wish, I was actually just a consultant on.
Okay,
so that show was created by Michael Jacobs, the same guy who had created Charles in Charge and Boy Meets World. And I had worked with Michael on Charles in Charge. And again, it was a 2 day a week thing. And so this was a show about a woman, single mom, raising 3 kids who somehow had a genie. Okay.
Yeah.
But she didn't want to use the genie because she didn't want the kids getting used to using a genie. Now, I don't know about you, but if I had a genie, I'd be rubbing that lamp. I wouldn't be jerking off. I'd be rubbing that lamp.
I'd be like, help me with this, and I need help with this.
Absolutely.
Kids go to therapy when they grow up.
I'm telling you what.
And the guy who played the genie, and he was a young actor, every time he'd talk, you'd go, man, if they could have gotten Robin Williams to do this, boy, it'd be different, So
I think it would have been a hit show.
Actually, no, because every time the mother, she was not a great comedic actress. She was a good actress, and I think she may have been for Broadway, but she was not a comedic actress. And her whole thing was going, no, I don't want the genies doing this, and I don't want the.
Oh no.
Hello.
Let's take a look at what we do a little thing around here now, Mark, called show and tell. So let's take a look at this.
Yes.
Okay.
So Amelia.
Yes.
Feel free to narrate if you like.
Okay.
This is you directed a few episodes of
Marc Sotkin. Yes, it's a living, and there is that's the Golden Girls from the house.
Right.
Yes.
Laverne and Shirley.
Laverne and Shirley. That's the apartment.
Yep. That's me. It's in, and that's Chris Thompson, one of the guys who I
very young Marc Sotkin.
Yes.
There you go.
And that's the first time out.
Be you.
Yeah. I had to go into the archives for this stuff.
Oh, I bet. And this one. Oh,
and there's the You Wish with the genie.
She only had 2 kids. I thought she had 3.
Garry Shandling.
Gary and I were good friends.
Hey, Garry Shandling's show.
That was actually a special. That wasn't the Garry Shandling
show. There's a special.
That was one of the specials.
Oh, that's my favorite show right there. It's a living.
The Improbables, the senior citizens.
Yes.
Platypus Man, the late Richard Jeni.
Richard Jeni.
Incredibly talented, troubled guy though.
Yep.
Another talented troubled guy, Robin Williams.
Oh,
Yep.
yes.
Our friend
And that's the
Sinbad.
Sinbad.
Our buddy Sinbad. And here's the girls, the Golden
La
Girls.
boom. There they are.
That's money,
And the
baby.
Golden
That's
Girls.
money. Money in the bank, those 4 women. And yeah, and here
The
you go. And
Golden Palace.
It's funny because I had a hell of a time finding
Really?
a cover. Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Because they hadn't
late
put out
Bob
the show.
Saget.
The show wasn't on DVD or
And there's
anything.
Bob Saget, the late Bob
The
Saget.
late Bob
Yeah.
Saget. Good guy.
Yeah.
Yes.
I want to talk to you about that one when we come out of this.
Okay.
Rock and roll.
There you go. I know these are great books. I've actually read these books. They're fucking hilarious. If you don't have Marc Sotkin
With time
books,
for
buy
bad
them.
behavior.
Go to Amazon.com.
this is some funny shit.
Kind of
This is funny
dirty Paris confession.
Yep. The Line.
The Line.
This is a film that Marc actually produced. And you wrote that one or you produced it, Marc?
Did a rewrite on it. That was another show with Thomas that they brought me in just to work on the pilot. And that other picture with me and Bruce Valanche.
Yeah, and Bruce is an upcoming guest. He will be here at some point, but we will, well, we will wrangle him into the fold here. So that's what we know. Let's talk a little bit about this. I want to get where's your books? Here we go. Hot damn, here's the books. The books. I love the written word. Everybody who watches the show knows that. In fact, I have a special show dedicated just to authors called The Writer's Room. And I love that show that we do, The Writer's Room. Great show, Amelia.
Oh, absolutely.
The Comatose Adventures of Lenny Rose. You spoke about this the first time you and I got together on our old show. Tell everybody the premise behind the Comatose Adventures of Lenny Rose.
So I was going through, actually it was probably after First Time Out or after Platypus Man. It was after one of those. It was during a rough period. And I was thinking, what would be great right now is just to be in a coma for a while, not to have to deal with any of the crap that I'm dealing with. And then I started thinking about, okay, so what happens when you're in a coma? And it turns out that some people can see and can hear while they're in a coma.
Yes, they can.
Yes.
Yes.
And so the Comatose Adventures of Lenny Rose is actually about a guy who has his greatest success and falls in love while he's in a coma.
It's a guy after my own heart, man.
Yeah, and so it's I got to admit it's pretty funny.
It's fucking hilarious. You shit me? I have it. It's a great book.
Pretty funny.
I have all these books. With Time Off for Bad Behavior. I know the story behind this. Tell everybody what the story is behind.
So
Time Off for Bad Behavior.
I had left Laverne and Shirley to go do Working Stiffs, which we talked about.
Yeah.
And then after that, in probably another year or so, Penny Marshall called me, and Paramount was just hiring her to direct her first feature film. And she was supposed to direct The Joy of Sex. And there was a great script written by John Hughes, Home Alone, Breakfast Club, Pretty in Pink, that John Hughes.
Yeah.
It was a really funny script, but the story needed work. So Penny wanted to hire me to do a rewrite on the movie. But so that we could spend enough time together, she also wanted me to come back as the showrunner on Laverne and Shirley, which I agreed to do. But so on a normal season of a show like Laverne and Shirley, we'll shoot 3 or 4 episodes and then shut down for a week so the writers can catch up and the actors get to rest because the actors get tired after 3 weeks. So anyway, that's on a normal season. Yeah. On this particular season, we were going to shoot 22 shows in 22 weeks because Penny had to get ready for the movie. Cindy Williams was pregnant with her first child and kind of knew when her due date was. They had to be in all 22 episodes, but I only had them for 18 weeks.
Oh,
Okay.
Oh my goodness.
So at the end, when I had them, I had to shoot some scenes after the audience left, which was Lenny and Squiggy were going to Chicago, and Lenny and Squiggy were back from Chicago, or
yeah,
some excuse.
yeah, sure.
We
Mhm.
start doing this,
Incredible.
and we start doing the season, and a few weeks in, Cindy's contract was she had to be out by 11 o'clock at night. Okay, we even
Yeah.
had a hospital bed on the set so she could rest because she was pregnant. Couldn't do as much physical comedy as what Laverne and Shirley was known for.
Yeah,
We're
sure.
shooting the show a few weeks in, and we're doing pickups, so that means the audience is gone. A
Yeah.
light goes out. I talked to the lighting guy, and he says it's 15 minutes. I said, Cindy, it's going to be 15 minutes. Go lay down. We're going to get done. Don't worry about it. We finished like at 11:05.
Wow.
I go in the next day. So Laverne and Shirley, the week was we'd start on Wednesday, do the big rewrite Friday night,
Yeah.
and then shoot on Tuesday. Okay. So we
Mhm.
shot on a Tuesday night. I go back to work Monday or Wednesday morning, and my secretary says, Garry Nardino, who's the president of Paramount TV, wants to see you in his office right now. And he doesn't
Wow.
usually want to. I'd never been called to his office before. I go to his office. He's there. Tony Thermopoulos, the president of ABC, is there. Gary
Yeah.
Marshall is there. Peter Roth, who was the ABC rep on our show, who later became president of Warner Brothers, is there.
Oh,
And they say, "What the fuck did you do? Cindy Williams quit the show last night."
Oh my goodness.
what?
Well, because of her contract, I kept her after 11 o'clock. At the time, she was married to Bill Hudson of the Hudson Brothers,
Oh God, yeah.
and
Mhm.
he
Oh.
wanted her out, and she had quit. Now, the deal is we can't shut down. I got to do 22 shows in 22 weeks.
Yeah.
So
Mm.
we go back, and three of us, two other writers and myself, we write an episode overnight. And if you have ever seen Laverne and Shirley, the fashion show, it's like Laverne has a big hat that's a gondola and a big hat that's it's a terrible, terrible episode. But we got it written overnight, and we went back and we shot a show that week.
Yeah.
Okay. A few weeks later, Michael McKeon, who plays Lenny of Lenny and Squiggy,
Mhm.
quits the show, says, I'm going to go do this movie called Spinal Tap. The
Oh,
studio goes, we'll sue
Oh.
you. We'll kill you.
Yeah.
You can't do it. He says, I'm going to go do Spinal Tap.
oh my God.
So now I don't have Shirley of Laverne and Shirley, and I don't have Lenny of Lenny and Squiggy, but we don't close
Incredible.
down. Okay.
Mhm.
One
That's
of those
rough,
following
brother.
weeks, so we start making stories of Laverne is dating somebody or Laverne is with another guy.
Yeah.
And an actor, Larry Breeding, who Penny is seeing in real life. Okay. They have a relationship. He's playing the boyfriend that week.
Yeah.
It's Friday night, which is our rewrite night. He has a horrible car accident, and
Oh
he
my
dies,
gosh.
and he's dead. Okay.
Oh dear.
Oh
geez.
no.
Now it's Monday, and nobody, including Larry Breeding's agent, knows where Larry is.
Oh my Lord.
We finally find Larry, what's happened. Okay. And remember, Penny has been having a relationship with this guy.
Yeah.
We can't shoot the show. Okay. We have to close down for that. We can't shoot that Tuesday night.
Mm.
We bring in Jim Belushi, who I knew
Yeah.
from Working Stiffs, and Penny knew,
Yeah.
and put him in the same role. He's going to say the same words as the same boyfriend to Penny, who has just lost this man who she had a relationship with. Talk about the show must go on, and what
Yeah.
a trooper
Well,
she was.
yeah.
And we do the same show. So we wound up doing 22 shows in 23 weeks.
Wow.
That is the season that is loosely based the with time off for
Man,
bad
can
behavior.
we say
And in the book, the
clusterfuck? Holy
showrunner is going through a separation with his wife, and so it's there's a love story going on, and
Oh my
Wow.
God.
a man trying to find his footing during this insane season.
My
And then, of
goodness.
course, can we say
Oh.
clusterfuck? Holy shit.
Oh
It seems
wow.
like Laverne and Shirley, particularly Cindy Williams, was like in diva mode almost all the time.
But brilliant.
diva times 10.
Just a couple instances. Just when she had the staff fired and when she quit. Other than that,
Oh,
so
other than that, she was a great lady.
You know what?
Well.
Separate. It was weird because separately they were. I like them both.
Mhm.
Together, it just became this whole other
Mhm.
thing. But they were
Yeah.
brilliant together. And on a week to week
Mhm.
basis, I would
Incredible.
go. I'd go to editing and watch, and the camera
Mhm.
just loved Cindy,
Mhm.
loved Cindy.
Very photogenic, absolutely.
Mhm.
And so much of the physical comedy they worked. It was our job to say, okay, we're going to put him in a Murphy bed, okay, and we'd write
Right.
it. But
Mhm.
then they would come up with stuff. Penny's first directing job was the pilot for Working Stiffs, because
Mm.
No kidding.
CBS wanted a male Laverne and Shirley
Yeah.
working class
Mhm.
physical comedy,
Yeah.
and Penny taught Michael Keaton and Jim Belushi
Yeah.
this really hard physical scene that have them hanging on a clock on a skyscraper and stuff. Um, they were both brilliant. So
Yeah.
again, I only wish we could have all Penny, Cindy, David, and Michael. We could have all sat down and say, look, our our creative process
Yeah.
is
Mhm.
complicated. Okay,
Yeah.
you know we're
Yeah.
funny writers. We know you're brilliant actors, and you're going to come over
Incredible.
with funny stuff, and let's just celebrate this because we're.
Absolutely.
But
Yes.
Of course.
that was
Mhm.
not the
Yeah.
case. So
Yeah.
too bad.
Yeah.
And then the third book, Kind of Dirty Paris Confessions.
Yes.
Mhm.
Where did that one come from?
So long before I went to Hollywood, I worked for my father in the garment district.
Okay.
Um, and my father used to, at one point, he had a mill that my grandfather started, and then that went broke, and so he was called what was called a converter. So we design fabrics, have them woven in another mill, and then go try to sell them to people who were going to use those fabrics. And we only dealt with men's neckwear,
Yeah.
ties. Okay. And this was when people stopped wearing ties. Nehru jackets were happening. Anyway,
Mhm.
um, it was a funny arena to me. I'd always have to go down and be nickel and diming people on the Lower East Side about a
Yeah.
nickel, about how much a yard was. And we had one customer, this guy Cy Wax, who was always in trouble with the Federal Trade Commission because he put labels on the ties that just said Paris with a picture of the Eiffel Tower. Uh, or Italy with it. He never said it was. He never said it was made in France.
Oh my God.
and, and so
That's hilarious.
I had right, and so I had memories of that world,
Mhm.
and then just I came up with this story
Incredible.
that's different. Isn't about the tie business. Is actually about the high fashion business, and this guy who's in the schmata business, whose father started. They were making house coats, low end house coats that they sold at Kresge's. Who has desire to be more than that. And growing up, his best friend was the son of a mafioso, and they were still best friends.
Ah,
So um,
my
it's
people are in there somewhere.
it's that world. It's that world.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
Speaking of that world, brother, how the hell did you survive Hollywood?
I left.
There you
Yeah.
go.
That's the best thing to
I
Amelia.
do.
left, and it was really the end of my career because
Yeah.
it was never the same. And that's when I started getting shows like First
Mhm.
Time
Yeah.
Out and
Mhm.
Sinbad, all this stuff. So
Well.
it was kind of the end of the highlights.
Mhm.
So your show's about wrestling.
Mhm.
Well, it was about wrestling.
Well,
So we're
first,
not talking about wrestling. So I can't ask about Ricky Starr. Do you remember Ricky
Sure,
Starr?
of course I
How far
remember Ricky
back do you
Starr.
go?
I go back to I remember Ricky Starr. I remember Argentina Rocca.
Yes, sir. Flying drop
Gorgeous.
kick. Flying drop kick.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Skull
Gorgeous
Murphy.
George.
Skull Murphy.
I remember Skull Murphy. I remember the French Angel.
Okay.
Mike Mazurki. By the way,
So then I remember. So that was the original, and then all of
Mhm.
a sudden there was Bedlam from Boston
yes,
and Killer Kowalski, and those people came in.
I have, in fact, I have it here. Amelia, remember? I was it 2 weeks ago. I showed my
Yes.
pictures.
Yes, you did.
Killer Kowalski, Lou Thez,
Mhm. Mhm.
Carl Lauer, the original Masked Marvel. I had
Mhm.
pictures with all of them. I showed them a couple of weeks ago on the
Yes.
air.
Yes.
My God! In fact, it was Killer Kowalski. Interestingly enough,
Yes.
Mark, did you bring up his name? Killer
Mhm.
Kowalski is the guy who signed me up for my lifetime
Mhm.
membership into the Cauliflower
Mhm.
Alley Club.
Mm.
Yes.
That's the
Mhm.
ear. Here's a
Mhm.
little movie trivia for you.
Yeah, because of the
Guys
ear, you
into
get
wrestling.
cauliflower ear.
Mike Mazursky was in the film Guys and Dolls. He was also in the film
Yes.
with Glenn Ford and Betty Davis. Pocket Full of Miracles.
Whenever they wanted a
Yes.
thug, he always played a
Mhm.
thug.
Yeah. And both
He had
he
the
and the French
bad guy
Angel were in
roles.
that film. Two
Mhm.
wrestlers were in that film. And
Mhm.
Mike Mazursky's ear is the logo for the Cauliflower Alley Club, just so
Okay.
people know that.
Mhm. Yeah.
So
Amelia,
that's how old I am that I remember Ricky Starr and I remember Argentina Rocco.
Well,
about
I wanted
71.
to I wanted to say my condolences to your friend because I know you lost a real dear friend, very young fellow Freed
Very young fellow
from
from
the
It's a Living,
show
yeah.
It's a Living.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yep.
wanted to say
Yep.
my
Barry,
condolences because I know you were close with her,
she was
and
a hell of an actress, too. Hell of an actress.
one of my favorite shows. And I know that It's a Living. It was a one season, and then Making a Living, you renamed it and became like a better show, more seasons after that.
I didn't do the network version. I'll do
But
this
it.
and we're out of time. So I didn't do the network version
Mhm,
of It's a Living when it was on ABC.
mhm.
And
And I know that she was a real good friend of yours, and my condolences that
thank
she
you.
passed away.
So it's actually,
Absolutely.
people assume that like the Golden Girls or Laverne and Shirley
Hmm.
was my favorite thing to work on. It's
Hmm.
a Living was actually my favorite show. So
Yes, that was one of my
when it
favorites.
became Making a Living, it was
Hmm.
what called first run syndication.
Yes.
Okay. So it wasn't on the network. So it was on,
Hmm.
at different times in different markets. They'd go.
I
So
loved
like in
that
LA,
show.
it was on Saturday afternoons. Our lead-in was
Hmm.
Raiders Playbook.
Hmm.
No one in
Yeah,
LA was watching
I
It's a
love that show
Living.
because it was her character. It's like everybody went to her for advice.
Right.
It's like her character was like one of the main people. Like everybody would
Of the
come to her
100
house.
of the 100 episodes we did, I wrote
Hmm.
27 of them because
That's
I
Yeah.
wonderful.
love the show. I love the character.
Hmm.
I heard the
Me
characters.
too. It was my favorite.
I wish I had written 27 Golden Girls because
Uh,
Right.
I'd be getting much
Especially
better.
that
I'd be
one.
getting much better residual checks.
The
Anyway,
one
uh,
of my favorite the Golden Girls episode that I liked is when they just showed the heads on the
yes.
plates and they
Uh-huh.
go, "Oh my gosh, we're just heads." But and the funny part is
That
that
was funny.
Rose is the one that said, "What happens when there's just one of us left?" And that was her line.
Yep.
That
Yep.
was Betty White's line.
Mark,
What
do you
happens if
ever
there's
miss the grind?
What the only thing I miss is the rewrite room.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay, because the rewrite room, if you're on a show like Golden Girls, it's the best. I
Mhm.
we
Yeah.
couldn't I couldn't put on, we would just make each other laugh, and then at some point
Mhm.
I'd say, no, wait a minute, we have to work on the show a little bit.
I
Mhm.
remember the
Okay.
last time you were here, you said it was like it's funny you I could see you going back to that moment. Mark said, and I got it on tape for the world to see. Mark said there's nothing like being on a hit show, and his eyes
Mhm.
just
Yeah.
glowed.
And
Mhm.
when you're on first time out and you go to the rewrite room, you might as well be
Mhm.
Yeah.
going into the coal mine.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you were very close to your sister, I see, because she gave you a 40-pound crystal, but you decided to give it back to her because you felt it belonged to her, correct?
No, 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 no. No, 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 no.
No, or
No,
was
you
it
don't
yours?
understand. I
No.
mean, we,
I
we
got
had
more
The
this.
I
40
got
pound
more
crystal,
I got
or
more crystals in my house than
uh,
Superman, okay?
I
And
see.
I've been over this with Angelo, and
We did a whole
I
show.
want to hear about that
we're not getting
crystal.
together on the crystal thing.
No, no, I explained that
Actually, if you
basically.
look over this shoulder, which
Uh-huh,
shoulder?
I see it.
You
Yeah,
see some
I
balls there.
I see
Uh-huh.
it.
You see a little calcite thing, cave of swords
Oh,
thing up
yes.
I see
there.
it.
Uh-huh.
And
Oh,
actually,
let me
here,
explain something, Amelia. When it comes to
Uh-huh.
crystals,
Uh-huh.
you're not going to separate Mark and his crystals. Just forget
no, no,
about
no,
it.
no. He
I
tried.
love
Angelo
that
tried.
crystal.
And
I said,
It
actually,
I
ain't
love that
going to happen.
crystal.
you
I
see up on
even
that other
tried.
wall. Remember Hirschfeld, the guy who used to do all the covers for the
Oh God,
Playbill in New
Uh-huh.
York?
sure.
So that, I can't.
I love that
By the
crystal. I was
gray
like,
bookcase
ah.
at the end of Golden Girls as a goodbye present,
Yeah.
I wrote
Uh-huh.
Thomas Harris they had
Uh-huh.
Hirschfeld do a drawing of the ladies at around the kitchen table,
Mhm.
very limited edition, and that's one of my Golden Girls treasures.
Beautiful.
But yeah,
I love
my
that
sister,
crystal.
my sister got just oh my god, it's like this is on my desk.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
beautiful.
Oh, he's got some crystal. Trust me.
I
Wendy.
love
Yeah.
crystals. That's one of my favorite things to collect.
Don't tell Angelo; he's going to try to
Mhm.
talk you out of it. It's just between you and me. I don't.
Basically,
It, does,
Oh no, he knows my address.
me
it
hold
doesn't,
on.
doesn't look like he's listening right now. So
Let
I'm
me
telling
reel
you.
him back in here.
Telling
Okay.
you, don't let him see your crystals.
Uh
What
oh.
we were talking about. Let me reel you back in here, brother. I love you. You know I love you. You've been here 3 times. Okay, you're
I
one of
know.
my favorite people. But let me explain what I was trying to tell Mark in a loving and kind and brotherly way was those crystals aren't doing anything for you you can't do for yourself. And in fact, the only energy they give you is what you give them. They're just amplifying what you give them. That's all.
They amplify.
But it makes
They
him feel
amplify.
good.
They amplify what is now. Just
Yes.
like any other brother. Sometimes you listen. Sometimes you
And
don't
sometimes,
listen.
sometimes you fight with them
Somebody
as
tells them to
well.
go fuck themselves. It's your
Sure.
brother.
They make a pretty decoration. I
And
just
he'll
love
be
them.
back for a 4th appearance and a 5th appearance.
Absolutely. I'll make sure
Absolutely.
of it. I'll make sure of it.
Oh, absolutely. You better believe it.
Yes.
Yeah, I love Mark. He's one of my
Always
I
favorites.
want to
fun.
talk some more about his books and everything because there's nothing
Go
like
ahead.
holding a book in your hand. I love it. I don't like having the books on the
Please.
Kindle
So here's
or
the thing,
anything like
Amelia.
that.
For anybody, because actually
Mhm.
it's only going to be for a couple more days. Okay.
Mhm.
So if you
Yeah.
go to marksotkin.com,
Mhm.
okay, and you go to
Yes.
books and novels, you can
Mhm.
download them for free.
Mhm.
But
Yep.
starting on Wednesday, because I'm getting ready to go to this conference thing, you're only
Mhm.
going to get the first 50 pages for free. So
Mhm.
I'll suck you in, and then you got to buy the book.
Then you got to buy the book.
I'd rather buy the book. I'd rather buy the book because I'd rather hold the book in my
Trust me,
hand.
buy
Well,
the book. It's worth it. Buy the
Yes.
book.
Yeah.
anyway,
Don't download. Buy the book, people.
that's
Buy the
No,
book.
there's nothing
No.
like
No.
holding a book in your hand.
cool.
Exactly. Turning the pages is
And
the best.
actually, with kind of dirty Paris Confessions, so all the
Mhm.
books have you can get the book or you can get the Kindle version. But
Mhm.
on kind of dirty, I also did the audiobook. So if
Okay.
you're
Oh, there
into
you go.
audiobooks,
Mhm.
it's there.
Are you planning on writing any more books in the future?
Right now, actually, I've just finished the first draft. I'm writing a one-man show, which scares the hell out of me because I've never performed a one-man show.
Mhm.
And it's
Wow.
about fear of the aging process, which a lot of
Mhm.
people were all going through.
Mhm.
So that's what I'm working on now, and I don't know if I'm going to perform it or not going to perform it, or if it works, how long I'll perform it. So at the
Right.
moment, that's really got my focus, and I don't have any real book ideas right now. But
Mhm.
nothing's crossed off the list of I'm never going to do the books. It's a big undertaking. It's
Mhm.
You want to write a book about a guy who's been in the wrestling business for 40 years?
you got $100,000. I'd love to.
Brother, I ain't got shit.
Yeah. Yeah. People are always telling me, I've got a book you should write. And no, you have a book that you should write. Is
Yeah,
what you have.
exactly.
Mhm.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If you want Mark, it's going to cost you money. If you can
Mhm.
do it for yourself and self-publish it on 48hourbooks.com
There you
all
go.
day and all night.
Funny's
Wow.
expensive. Funny's expensive.
Yes, it
Mhm.
is. Funny is also brilliant when it works.
That's why
Some
it's
of my
expensive.
favorite people,
Yes.
Mhm.
and I have a great affection for old comedy like Charlie Chaplin,
Yes.
Buster Keaton, Harold Lloyd. I love the old silence because they can make you laugh without ever having said a word.
So
Yes.
Talk to me about
the
that.
big scene in Working Stiffs
Mhm.
is me ripping off Harold Lloyd.
Okay.
There you go, because they're changing the light bulb on a clock on a
The clock
on a
tower, yeah.
skyscraper, and Harold Lloyd was probably hanging off the clock on the skyscraper.
Yeah.
Those
Yeah.
guys were nuts.
And he did his
Mhm.
own stunts too, by the way.
That's why I'm saying those guys were crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't make comedy anymore like they used to. Not like not nowadays.
It's just, you know what? There's
It's
people ask me about this all the time. It's not the same because there's so many people now who still watch Golden Girls who tell
hmm
me, "Oh, we watch it every night before we go to bed because it's
I
positive."
did. I did with my stepson
It's
every night.
right. So
Every
Mark,
night.
can we talk?
stylistic, it just changed. This style has changed.
hmm
There's still really
It
good
is.
television. Stylistically, it's different.
Yeah.
Yeah. That
Mark,
was our
can we?
routine
Oh,
every night.
okay. Go
hmm
ahead, Amelia. I'm sorry, I
No,
interrupted.
it's like he and I had a structured environment because we had to when he was little, and he'd come home from school. He did his homework. He made his bed, and the school had us do that because
Yeah.
it was something that we had to do. And he said, "Come on, mama, come on, mama." I was like, "What's going on?" He goes, "Golden Girls, Golden Girls." He was so excited every night. He would make a room, popcorn, and some soda and Pepsi, by the way, because I had to have Pepsi.
Okay.
And
Hello. We
so
love Pepsi around here.
yes, we do. And so we'd sit down, have our popcorn. He goes, "Come on, mom, come on, mom." So we'd watch the Golden Girls, and he, as soon as he knew it was over, it was time for bed. But he
So
was like,
here's
"Come
the thing,
on."
and I
Mhm.
got to tell you this:
Mhm.
the most rewarding thing for me about this is
Mhm.
I can't tell you how many people have told me
Mhm.
I used to watch it with my grandmother, and now I watch it with
Mhm.
my kids, and it means so
Yeah.
much. And I remember my
Yeah.
grandmother.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, it's a huge hit in the gay
Yes, it is.
community. In the
Mhm.
gay
Yeah.
community, and how many
Yeah.
men have said, "I came out to my mother or my grandmother while we were watching Golden Girls,"
Yeah.
Mhm.
um, and
Well, I mean, yeah, just by virtue of the
Yeah.
it's just such a blessing for me, and to hear that.
Yes.
Thank you, Amelia, and I'm
yeah.
glad
Yeah.
you have
And
And
those
think
now,
memories.
about it. The first comment we had of the
yeah.
evening, I put it right back up.
And now my son's
Scott
passed
Larson,
away
you're
3 years ago, and every time I see it now, it's
Yeah,
like not the same for me anymore. But I watch it because I know that he's watching it with me.
yep,
So
and so it just it's an incredible blessing for
yeah.
me to know
yeah.
how much we
Oh
affected
yes.
people, and how
Mhm.
much the show means. And like I
Yeah.
said, they got over 2,000 people
Oh,
flying and
definitely.
coming to Chicago,
Yeah. It.
um,
Yes.
and there are no Golden Girls going to be there.
Yeah. It got
Mark,
me.
can we
It got me
talk
buying the
about
big
the
purses
connect?
like Blanche. I mean, like Dorothy did. I said, I love those big purses.
Yeah,
Oh.
Mark, can we talk about the connection between comedy and tragedy? I want to talk about particularly some guys from the 30s, 40s, and 50s.
Mhm.
Um, there are a guy, for example, Fatty Arbuckle,
right,
Mhm.
W.C. Fields,
Mhm.
Alfalfa.
right,
Yes.
These were people known to be funny. They were the comedians of the day,
right.
Oh,
but they all
absolutely.
had very tragic lives.
Yes.
Yes.
What is it about great tragedy that great comedy is born from, that springs from? Talk to me about that turning, the frown upside down kind of thing.
Uh, it's the curse. It's just it's how our brains
Mhm.
work. Okay.
Yeah.
It's weird. It's
You know,
strange, isn't it?
when I see the car, has just run over the dog, I'm thinking it's a shame his name was Lucky.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's what happens. Okay,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and when it happens, I have to say it. Okay, it has to
You
come
told
out.
a story on the show once when your mom passed away and you were looking at the I guess the undertakers, and they were taking her out of the home, and
Yes.
you and your sister were cracking jokes at each other. What was
So
explain?
it was mostly me cracking jokes and making her laugh so hard because the people who came in to take my mother's body away, they were from the Adams. It was Morticia and Gomez. I'm telling you,
That was
it's who they
he,
were. I'm telling you, it's who they were.
Mhm.
Okay,
it just
and
he
when we
did this
went to look
before.
at urns, and one of the choices you have is they look like books on a bookshelf, so you can put
Mhm.
Yeah,
mom on the bookshelf. I mean,
Mhm.
what am I supposed to do with that? Am I supposed to, my
Yeah.
mom was
yeah,
88. She had lived a great life.
yeah.
I loved her. Do I miss her? I miss her. But she had so I celebrate her life. I don't mourn
I
her
will
her,
tell
her
you, I
Mhm.
didn't. That did not come to full fruition with me until January 21st of this year. I lost my father, And my father, you had to understand, this guy was a character when the last of the old time characters. Um,
No, you're
uh,
still here.
uh,
Sorry, but you're still here.
yeah, and my father's still here too.
Yes,
Because that kind of energy don't die.
right.
Yeah.
So it's funny because somebody said when people only die if you forget them, and it's true.
Mm-hmm.
It's true. People only die if you forget them. Interestingly enough, though, we found ourselves even at the funeral parlor, you know, just laughing
Of course,
at the craziest shit,
of
the
course,
stories that what
of
people were
course.
telling.
Oh yes.
You know, growing up for me, the dinner table was showtime. Okay,
Oh God, yeah,
my greatest
Mm-hmm.
joy, if I could make my mother laugh till she peed in her pants.
yeah,
She'd, stop, I'm gonna pee. It,
yeah.
heaven, heaven.
You know, there's
Mm-hmm.
a.
And
It
both my parents
reminds
were
me of
funny. Both my parents
Amelia.
were funny.
I don't know if you've ever seen this film, Amelia. I know Mark has. It's called Mr. Saturday Night, Billy Crystal.
Yes.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
it's an amazing film about a kind of what you said, like a Borscht Belt comedian that made it big, went
Sure.
to did the
Mm-hmm.
Saturday night, kind of maybe based on Milton Berle, whatever the case may have
That
been.
generation.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And he and his brother started out as a team. What makes one brother funnier than the other? Where is funny in the genes
Yes.
or it's funny in the delivery?
So, no, it's funny in the genes. It's just how your brain works. So
Mm-hmm.
my whole family, my sister is funny and my brother is funny. They ain't as funny as I am. They're not. They're just not.
Yeah.
Okay. And so yeah, that's why. So and my father, he was a teaser. Okay, he was a guy who would tease. Okay, which sometimes, my sister's memories of the dinner table are different than my memories of the dinner table. Okay,
The first time I saw Marc Sotkin's picture,
because
I
I could
thought to
top him.
myself,
I could top my father when he teased me. You
Mm-hmm.
know, so it was like, sure, bring it on. And that's just it's just the wiring. I can't. I'm
yeah,
so lucky that I was in that line. It's like I
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
can't. I could never study. I never did my homework. I just faked my
Well,
way through
funny you
school.
say that because the first time I saw your picture, Mark, I thought to myself, here's a guy that looks like he should be teaching math class.
No thanks.
Yeah, I know,
Right.
but
I
it's just,
couldn't do it. Teach it. Mm-mm.
juxtaposition of what a person looks like and what comes out of their head.
When I was in school, when I was in high school, people say, "Well, what do you want to be?" I used to say, "Oh, I'm going to be a doctor," only because adults love it when you say you're going to be a doctor. You want to feel like my daughter? Sure, go ahead, honey. He's going to be a doctor. Come on.
Mm-hmm.
It's like,
Yeah,
and then I got to
Mm-hmm.
college. I saw how hard the kids were working who just wanted to be dentists. It's
yeah,
like,
Yes.
no thanks.
Yes.
The
yeah,
same
right.
for me. So, and I've told you when I was young, and I probably told this on a previous episode, but so when I was little, Amelia, when I was probably third grade, maybe third grade, fourth grade, I would put talcum powder on my face and tell my mother I didn't feel well. Okay, which she probably had to find was hilarious. And so, not all the time, but very often, she'd let me stay home. And we lived in New Jersey, across from New York, and I would spend all day watching December Bride, Life of Riley, My Little Margie,
Oh my God.
the Bob Cummings Show, all these shows that were in
Mhm.
rerun in New York. And that's when I was a Topper. What a great
Topper,
show.
Topper. Oh, I love that
What a
show. Topper,
great
Topper
show.
Returns.
So
Yes.
Are
that
you
was
shitting me, Amelia?
that was my
Yes.
school. That was my school. That was
I love
school.
Topper. Are you kidding? I
Are you
remember that.
serious?
Leo G. Carroll.
Oh my God. Yes.
Just it was funny because
The Donna Reed show. I remember that.
that was
You're
later.
killing
I mean,
me here.
I was old enough to actually understand what was going on.
Mm-hmm.
For real. She's killing me with this shit. She never told me this before. You
Yeah.
had to wait to market here to tell me this shit?
So
Yes, I used to watch.
Kathleen
Also,
Freeman. I happened to be watching. So I'm not watching whole episodes of Golden Girls now, but I'm watching enough
mm-hmm.
to remember what the episode was about. because when
Mhm.
I go to Chicago, they're going to ask me questions. So there
Oh,
was one.
sure, yeah.
Try to remember the one where they Blanche was flirting, and then Sophia's there, and they says, I'm gonna go get myself in the bathtub," and she's just enough to fill my bosom, and then Sophia says, "You're only gonna sit an inch of water."
Yeah, right. So,
That's
but
funny.
this was the episode where Sophia goes to become a nun. She decides she
Yes.
wants to, and
Oh my
Kathleen
God.
Freeman plays
Hmm.
the Mother Superior. Well,
That's funny.
she was the young maid on
Yes.
Copper.
Yes.
Okay, I got to work with people that I grew up watching. Which were, I just watched an episode with Donna Michi. I worked with Donna Michi. I worked with Cesar Romero. I worked with these
Mhm.
old movie stars.
Mhm.
It was just a great, great,
Can we
great
talk
experience.
about Cesar Romero a minute?
Sure.
I want to talk about Caesar.
Okay.
There's a rumor floating around Hollywood for a long time that Cesar Romero liked oranges wedged in his butt cheeks. Do you know?
Yeah. Okay.
Did you hear this?
Never heard that one.
Okay. That tidbit of information came from Gilbert Gottfried.
It's interesting.
I'm just relating with Gilbert.
I'd start with
Uh,
He talks
tangerines.
about it all the time. That Cesar Romero, he was a gay man. There's no
Right.
that's very been spoken about for a long time. It's in the open.
Right.
But they said that he liked the feeling of peeled oranges between his butt cheeks.
See, now when I hear that, I'm thinking you got to start with tangerines, right?
Right?
You're not going to go right to oranges.
Exactly. But Caesar went right to oranges.
Yeah.
And
Even
apparently,
a kumquat's a good idea to start with,
and Milton Berle, another one. Let's talk about Uncle Milton. They used to call him the snake.
Yes.
Yes.
And he loved people to know how big his dick was.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
So here's the thing. If you're a star, or if you're in the business, it's very attractive to other people. People are going to want to be with you.
Yeah.
If you're a comic on the road, it's lonely on the road.
I have to tell you, Mark, I met Milton Berle.
Yes.
He actually attended one of my shows.
Oh.
I was performing in Philadelphia, just outside of Philadelphia. And we were doing, my partner and I had a DJ routine. We did, we had dancers and we had music and the whole bit. Milton Berle came in dressed in full regalia, lipstick, eyeliner, the whole everything, down to the heels, and was impeccable, and there wasn't a hair out of place. He comes up to me after the show. He has 2 drinks in his hand. He puts one in front of me, one in front of my partner. And he's got, now, imagine this, Amelia. Uncle Milty, he's dressed up looking beautiful like an old lady, right?
Mhm.
Pulls out a cigar from his handbag, purse, and proceeds to light it up. And he had kind of a raspy voice. You just had to see what I was looking at. I can't even describe it to you. Mark, you understand this because you've clearly seen Uncle Milty in drag at some point.
And Uncle Milty seemed to like to be in drag.
He loved to dress in drag. I met him.
So
in drag.
Dorothy's brother Phil was a cross-dresser. I don't know how often what Uncle Milty was wearing when he walked around the house in the morning. Was he wearing a house coat or was he wearing a PJs? Who knows?
I don't know.
Who knows
I know
what he was wearing?
I know what he was wearing at the Norristown Hilton though that night. That was Uncle Milty, and everybody knew he was there. We made a big announcement too, and he even took a bow.
Of course, he took a bow. He wanted everybody to know he was there,
and he sure the hell did too. Trust me. And everybody knew. Once they knew that was Milton Berle, everybody was there.
Yep.
So it was just a very peculiar thing to talking to me with that cigar hanging in his mouth.
Yeah.
You guys are really good, You
see the sign that's above my head? You can't read it, but what it says is everything about it is appealing.
Exactly.
Okay? Remember the song? There's no business like show business.
It's one of my favorite movies. I love it.
Everything about it is appealing, and you have to just keep reminding yourself of that when you hear of some people's peculiar little things about them, about what they do with an orange.
That's why Amelia and I do what we do. We're show-offs.
That's right.
That's why we're here. We're
So
show-offs.
And you're our
Marc
first guest
Sotkin,
on the Talk is Cheap.
Always, my friend, a welcome guest on this program. I got to have you back. We're going to try and get Bruce Valanche on here. If he emails Bruce, if you're watching, Mark's going to show you this program.
Yeah,
we're really fun around here, and I'd like to have you on. What's next for Marc Sotkin?
I'm doing a rewrite on this one-man show.
Okay,
and then I have to figure out if I'm going to do it and where I'm going to do it and see if I like doing it. And
well, I'll tell you what, my friend, the East Coast is always a great place to try out new material.
So what I think I've got a couple of venues in places like Boulder, where I lived for a long time, that I know I could paper I wouldn't have to worry about selling tickets. I could paper a house and
sure
get to work. So I sort of have it in my mind what I would do and how I would do it. I'm actually working with Judy Askins, who I mentioned. She was the director, and so we're going to work on the performance end of it. I just read it for the first time for the first two people who heard it, Gail Parent and Jim Valley, who were Golden Girls writers and friends. So I'm just trying to get that to where I think it's good enough to get up in front of people. And talk about it.
Beautiful. Well, my friend, give your social media. Where can people contact you?
I'm on marcsotkin.com. I'm mostly social media, even though I'm on Twitter, but I'm mostly on Facebook. And there's a lot of other Golden Girls fans who are friends there, and we're just starting to talk about the it's called Golden Con. It's rather than Comic Con, it's Golden Con.
Golden
Con. About the show that's coming in Chicago. If anybody's interested in that, the website is Thank You for Being a Fan, not Thank You for Being a Friend. Thank You for Being a Fan.com. And people can find out about tickets and all of that there, and who else is going to be there.
Terrific.
Going to be actors and
Thank You for Being a Fan.com. That is the Golden Girls Convention being held in Chicago. You can find out information. You can get to
April 22nd through the 25th.
Awesome.
Terrific. And you can meet and greet with Marc Sotkin.
And here's the thing, which they're just going to post on that site. If you want an autographed copy of one of my books and you happen to go to that thing in Chicago, order your book now from Amazon. Bring it with you because I'm not schlepping books. And, we have autographed books for you.
We know that Mark is not a book schlepper.
They asked me if I was bringing books, and I was like, nah, I'm not going to schlep books.
Mark, I love you, brother. You are always a welcome addition to this family.
Absolutely.
I'm proud
Good luck with the show. Good luck with the show.
Thank
you, my friend. On that note, Amelia.
Yes.
Give everybody your social. Where can people get a hold of my friend Amelia?
At Amelia Valerio Chapman on Facebook or aachap70@gmail.com or with you here on Tuesday and Thursday night.
And you can reach me at Mad Dog DeCipio on Twitter and Facebook as well. Reach us if you need to at wrestlingwiththefuture@gmail.com. That is our hub. That is our everything goes through there for all of our shows. And well, we got a new one coming up. We're not even going to talk about it yet, but it's going to be a new one. On behalf of Marc Sotkin, on behalf of Amelia Chapman, the Pitbull, I am Mad Dog DeCipio. Take care, everybody. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.